everybody, Loacher for Life here, bringing guys a brand new video. So today we're going to be talking about the brand new archetype, the Generaid. So I know this is a bit late. This stuff was revealed like the day of the ban list getting revealed. So what, Monday? It's now Thursday, and I've been just way too busy to actually go back and try and get this recorded. So here we are. So Generaid is a very interesting archetype, kind of. I don't know exactly how to feel about it. It's very weird. Going into it, I was like, oh, this is cool artwork. And then I saw, oh, they're all named after Nordic gods and stuff. This is going to be cool. And I feel like Konami dropped the ball on this one. So let's get on with the discussion. So first and foremost, we got Mardal, Generative Light. By the way, every single main deck monster is a level 9 with various amounts of attacks and, attack and defense stats, as well as also every single one has a different typing and attribute, which is very interesting. So Mardal, she's a Generative Light. Beautiful artwork on all of these cards, by the way. Mardal and like the boss monster, Jormungandr here are my favorites. So anyways, she's a level 9 light plant effect monster, 2400 attack, 2400 defense. You can only use the second effect of her name once per turn, so it's a hard once per turn for her second effect. And then what they all share is you can only control one of each Generaid. And then if this card is normal or special summon, you can add one plant monster or generated card from your deck to your hand, except a copy of herself. So this is really good. She's the Rhoda for the deck. Normal or special summon, search out another one. Pretty good for the deck. The only issue I have of her and every other Generaid monster is there is no way to inherently summon them. None of them have special summoning effects, or like, hey, you can tribute summon this card with one tribute or anything like that. No. They don't do that. That's so stupid. I don't know what Konami was thinking with this. But really good effect right there on Mardal, just being able to get a search for a plant monster or a generated card. And that's the really interesting thing about the Generates. They work with their own archetype, but they also work with the typing that they match. Next up, we got Frodier, Generaid of the Sword. Again, great artwork here. He's a level 9 Wind Warrior effect monster. Again, you can only use the second effect once per turn, and you can only control one of them. First, a second effect. Quick effect, you can tribute any number of journeyed monsters and or warrior monsters, then target that many monsters on the field, destroy those targets. Then your opponent can draw cards equal to the number of the monsters that they controlled that were destroyed by this effect. Now, obviously, it sucks that your opponent gets to draw the cards, and this is my biggest issue with this archetype right here. They have this weird obsession with making your opponent draw cards. And, I mean, you could try and do a deck-out deck with them, but I don't really see that working too well. The deck is just far too slow to be able to do that effectively, you know. I guess you could try mixing it with, like, a Morphing Jar. Oh, wait, is Morphing Jar still banned? I feel like he is. But, you know, like, you can try doing something like an Empty Jar generated deck with, like, hand destruction and stuff, but I just don't see that being particularly good. Appropriate would be freaking amazing in this deck, though, I gotta say, like, in all honesty. If you guys don't know what Appropriate is, it's a continuous trap that states every time your opponent draws a card by a card effect, you draw 2 cards. It's a stupid card. A friend of mine used to play Appropriate Exodia, would be able to go through almost all of his deck in one turn if he had 1 or 2 Appropriates out on the field. Really obnoxious. Let's see here. Next up, we got Divergences. I'm pretty sure I'm butchering it. Generative Iron. He's a level 9 Earth Machine effect monster. 1500 attack, 2500 defense. You can only control 1. Quick effect, you contribute any number of generated monsters and or machine monsters. Special summon in defense the same number of generated monsters and or machine monsters from your hand. They have different names from each other and all of the tributed monsters. This is by far the main one you want to get out first thing as soon as possible. Couple this with the token generator in the archetype, and you are able to hopefully be able to swarm your field with a bunch of generated monsters. That's the idea, at least. Divergences here is by far one of the better ones in general, just because he is able to get you so many more monsters on the field. I really wish he had, like, oh wait, no, I was about to say I really wish he had 500 attacks so you could machine dupe them, and then I was like, oh wait, you can only control 1. That went out of the that fell out real quick. Next up, we got Nagafar, Generative Flames. Again, just awesome artwork. He's a level 9 Fire Beast Warrior effect monster, 3100 attack, 200 defense, so he is our kindling target, which could make for some interesting plays. You can only control one, and then if a card or cards you control would be destroyed by battle or by card effect, you can destroy one Generaid monster or one Beast Warrior monster you control instead. Pretty good card overall. Just destroying other things, protecting your stuff. Nice card overall. Next up, we got Nidhogg, Generaid of Ice. Oh my god, I love this artwork here. I couldn't really tell on my phone, but it looks so cool. I love it. So Nidhogg here is a level 9 water worm effect monster. 2100 attack, 600 defense. You can only control one. And then when your opponent would special summon a monster or monsters, quick effect, you contribute a Generaid monster or worm monster, negate that special summon, and if you do, destroy that monster. Again, this is another one of the better ones. Get them out on the field along with another Generaid or two, and you can easily negate a summon, which is just great. Just being able to negate summons is just something that's amazing in general, and honestly, considering that you're probably going to be relying on a lot of reborn cards, to bring back more monsters from your graveyard, this isn't half bad. Next up, we got arguably the best one. I've seen a lot of people argue that she's the best one, not just for her own archetype, but also for zombies. We got Hell, Generaid of Death, level 9 Dark Zombie Effect Monster, 800 attack, 2900 defense. You can only control one of her, blah blah blah. Second effect can only be used once per turn. Quick effect, you contribute one Generaid monster or zombie monster, then target a Generaid monster or zombie monster in your graveyard with a different name from the attributed monster, special summon it in defense position. Like with Diverg, I feel like she's going to be the main one for getting more Generaids on the field, if you're talking about just an archetype. But however, even more importantly for zombies, this thing is amazing. Okay, you foolish her, you get her in your graveyard somehow, Mizuki her back, and then you use her effect to tribute another zombie, bring back Balrog or Balrog or whatever, and then hey, look at that, you got 2 level 9s, make I don't know, Zombie Stein, detach for his effect, detaching Balrog, and then Balrog, actually you wouldn't make Zombie Stein, let's be honest, you'd make True King of All Calamities. You would detach for his effect, detaching Balrog, and then during the next turn, Balrog would come back. It's really, really, really nutty with how she is so good in zombies. You'd only probably play one of her, but she just makes it so good in zombies. I don't know how many you'd probably play in Generaids, but really good overall. And then we got their boss monster, Jormungandr, Generative Eternity. About time we get a good Jormungandr card. Let's just all forget that crappy one for Nordics. This is the true Jormungandr, and I love it. So, rank 9 Earth Reptile Xyz effect monster, question mark attack, question mark defense, 2 or more level 9 monsters. You can only use its third effect once per turn. Like with the other Generaids, you can only control one, which is a bit annoying. I love this artwork, by the way. I just really do. This card's attack, original attack and defense are equal to the number of Xyz materials attached to this card times 1,000. So, right off the bat, this thing can get very beefy very easily. Third effect, quick effect. You can detach one material from this card. Each player draws one card. Then, each player that drew chooses one card that is in their hand or on their field, and you attach the chosen cards to this card as Xyz material. So, you make this guy, you detach, you both draw a card, and then each player puts an Xyz material underneath this guy. So, you detach one to get 2, which is really good for this guy. You of course get to draw, and so does your opponent, but again, you want your opponent to draw thanks to the field spell. It's about time we get to why this deck has a weird obsession with giving your opponent cards. So, Generaid Stage, field spell. You can only use the second effect of this card's name once per turn. First effect, once per turn, if your opponent adds a card or from their deck to their hand, you can special summon one Generaid monster from your deck. This includes if they draw for their draw phase, for their normal draw, or if they draw for card effects as well, because that's considering adding a card from their deck to their hand. During your opponent's turn, if you special summon a Generaid monster, you can special summon in attack position as many Generaid tokens, Light Fairy, level 4, 1500 attack, 1500 defense as possible, but destroy them during this turn's end phase. So obviously you're intended to summon out one of your Generaids, and then use their effects to quick effect, tribute the tokens, and then get more monsters out. That's why you have like some stunning, you have some quick effect special summoning. So this deck could theoretically work quite well, theoretically. Of course, with terraforming going to 1, and so is Metaverse, this card's going to become much less useful. What is really interesting is that the first effect is not a hard once per turn. So if you do somehow like get a second copy out on the field, like let's say you activate this during your turn, you set a Metaverse, opponent goes, they draw for their normal draw, generate stage effect, special summoning out, I don't know, Nidhogg, okay, and then your opponent goes to try and summon something, you use Nidhogg as effect to tribute, negate, and destroy, and then your opponent goes to like activate, I don't know, Pot of Duality, you chain the effect of Metaverse, activating another copy of Generaid stage, they get their card from Duality, but then you get another monster from your deck. So this is going to be really interesting to see if this deck is played at all because of the weird reliance on your opponent adding cards or drawing cards from their deck to their hand. Next up, we got quite possibly the worst card in the deck, Generaid Reward. You can only use its second effect once per turn. This is a hard once per turn on its second effect. First effect, while you control a token, your opponent cannot target generative effect monsters for attacks. If a generative effect monster is destroyed by battle, your opponent draws a card. Okay, you give your opponent free advantage. My biggest thing is that I feel like this really should have been both players draw a card. Every time your opponent draws a card, you should draw one as well. That's my big thing. Okay, at least make it fair on that end and not just giving your opponent free advantage. Now, what would be nice is if you have like Appropriate at the same time, but obviously Appropriate's just going to get destroyed, so yeah. Next up, we got quite possibly the best card in the deck, because, hey, screw the fact that Terraforming is at 1. Let's put the deck in, let's give the deck its own Terraforming. Generaid Quest, normal spell card. You can only activate a card or discard's name once per turn, so it's a hard once per turn. Reveal one Generaid monster in your hand, and if you do, add up to 2 Generaid spell or trap cards from your deck with different names, except Generaid Quest. Then place the revealed card on the bottom of your deck. So you reveal a Generaid, you add like the field spell and any of the traps or something from your deck to your hand, and then you put your monster back on the bottom of the deck. Pretty good card overall. Yeah, you're trading 2 for 2 more cards, and it's a pretty even deal here. But it's not the worst thing in the world. Just being able to get to your spells and traps easy. I like it a lot. Next up, we got the first of the traps, Generaid Battle, which I love. Again, I love the artwork. It's like Nidhogg getting attacked by the fire guy. Activate. So this is another way to get to your field spell, just to emphasize how important it is. You can only activate a card of this card's name once per turn. Activate a Generaid field spell from your deck or graveyard, then your opponent draws 1 card. So again, using that same idea from before, you activate 1 during your turn, your opponent draws for their normal draw, spell summon a dude, get the tokens, use the dude's quick effect. Opponent goes to activate any sort of search or draw power or whatever, you chain Metaverse, activate... activate Metaverse, activate the field spell from deck, again get another special summon, activate this, get a generated field spell from your deck or graveyard. This card is good, and I love how they future-proofed it with any generated field spell, not just stage. That means that if they do get another field spell in the future, which God, Konami, please don't, we don't need more archetypes with multiple field spells, but I digress. This can grab it from your graveyard, and then it immediately triggers the effect of the field spell by giving your opponent a card, so then you immediately get to special summon a monster. I really like this. It's pretty good card design overall, but again, every time your opponent draws a card, you should draw a card as well. All things considered, that's just my little take on that. Next up, we got Generaid Territory. Again, love the artwork. It's a continuous trap card. When your opponent activates a card or effect in response to the activation of a Generaid card or effect, you can discard 1 card. That opponent's effect becomes each player draws 1 card. This is a really, really interesting. This is a really interesting way of going about this. So this is another one of those change the effect of a card to something else, and I really like that. So if you guys don't know, there's only a few other cards that do these kind of things. The first one that I know of was a Fabled card that makes your opponent's first spell card deactivate every turn. Become your opponent discards a card or something like that. There's something else that's really good that does a similar thing, but I can't remember. But this one is pretty good as well, especially for the deck and everything. And again, why can't all of the draw effects be each player draws a card? I don't know. I'm trying to be optimistic in all things considered. Then we got the final card and the final trap card, Generaid Bite. Normal trap card, tribute any number of generated monsters, then target one exceeds monster you control. Choose an equal number of generated monsters except attributed monsters from your hand, field, and or graveyard, and if you do, attach them to the target monster as exceeds material. So this is a nice way of getting even more material underneath your boss monster. Obviously, mainly you're going to be wanting to tribute like all your tokens to give Jormungandr even more attack power. I don't think this card is like super necessary. If it had another effect, it might be played. Honestly, as it is, I could see it being played as a one of maybe, but really it's not necessary. I love the attention to detail on his artwork. You can see like every ripple of his mouth, all the different teeth. It's just crazy detailed. This is so cool. Heck, you can probably count how many scales he has too. That's just crazy. So this is Generaid. I don't know what to think. I need to play them on YgoPro, see how they work. I right now am very iffy on them. I don't think they're going to be particularly great as an archetype, but I do see potential for them being used in other typings. You know, like I could totally see somebody taking in Nidhogg in a Worm archetype. Hell is definitely going to get played in zombies. Like that's not even a question. I don't know if Nagafar is good enough to play in other typings. Divergences is probably going to possibly see play in various machine decks in the future just for his free special summoning. Well, I say free, but basically special summoning for free. I don't think Fraudier is going to see any play outside of Generaid because you don't want to give your opponent more draws, and also how many warrior decks is going to be able to make use of a level 9 wind. And then obviously I think Mardal is going to probably find a home in some plant archetype in the future. I would be very surprised if she doesn't. So this is going to be very interesting to see how this archetype shapes up, and I hope they give them more support in the future. Konami's been pretty good about that, giving these duelist pack decks new support card or two in the future, in the following sets. So hopefully they get something good. Maybe another rank 9 Xyz monster, that'd be pretty cool. But honestly, I feel like they need more ways of getting monsters on the field, and maybe something that like says, oh, your Generates can be normal summoned without tribute or something. You know what I mean? They need something like that. But anyways, what do you guys think? Thank you all for watching. Have a great day. If it's your birthday, happy birthday, and see you all later. Peace out.